Hello and welcome to Ryan Watches a Movie. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot, bud. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad.
All right, nice. We're also joined by Ryan Holes. Hey, Ryan. This is your first time tuning in. Kevin and I are challenging ourselves to find movies that Ryan likes in the hopes that we'll reach a coveted 10 out of 10. You can join in on the conversation by sending your movie suggestions for Ryan to podcast at filmpulse.net or by sending me a DM on Twitter at filmpulsenet. If you like the show, or even if you don't, please consider checking out the Frederick's Ataxia Research Alliance website at curefa.org. What movie did we have you watch this week, Ryan?
Train to Busan.
Train to Busan. Now, you wanted an action movie, and we went with a little bit of a... This is like an action horror movie. It's a little bit of a hybrid between the two. This hails from South Korea. It's directed by Sang Ho Young. I have a synopsis here. While a zombie virus breaks out in South Korea, passengers struggle to survive on the train from Seoul to Busan. Ryan, tell us a little bit about Train to Busan.
Well, I need to start off by saying, asking, is this like our equivalent to a summer blockbuster?
I would say so.
Because I saw more like special effects. I mean, they were good, but normally I don't see them in many foreign movies that I watch. But this just seemed like a big budget blockbuster.
Indeed. Yeah, this is definitely a bigger movie. Yep.
Alright, so there's a guy. I thought he would try to pronounce names.
Yeah, don't bother.
There's a guy who works as a financial advisor, and he has a little daughter who, by the way, is probably one of the cutest little kids I've ever seen. She wanted to spend her birthday with her mom in Busan, so she asked her dad to take her. And they're kind of a straight, like, their relationship is his daughter is aware that he only cares about himself, and that's why her mom left him. So anyway, they get on this train, and right before the train doors close, unidentified passenger sneaks in, and then pretty immediately dies. And as soon as they die, like immediately, they turn into I'll call it 28 days later style zombie.
Yeah, the fast moving zombie.
And the train starts getting infected one by one. And you eventually meet up with a lady and a man. Then the lady is pregnant, and it's kind of a little side story. The man hasn't named the baby, but at some point in the movie he does. The man with the daughter is trying to help everyone move throughout the cars, and he shot to the door behind them, and there's still this guy that's alive and his pregnant wife, and they kind of have words, and they kind of get a disagreement. Because the guy accuses him of being an asshole, basically. So then throughout the movie, they find out that when they go through tunnels, the zombies can see. And they move eventually to the front of the screen. And when they get there, there's a bunch of other survivors that are there that tie the door shut. And they all see it in Instagram. And finally they agree to let these few people in a different car. Well, then something occurs, and the car with all the survivors suddenly die and get infected, except for one guy that's kind of a dick. And they run into a problem where there's things blocking the train track. So there's an announcement that everyone moves to the left-hand train. And all the survivors attempt to do them. And the guy is an asshole that I said about before. He is running to the other train, the working train, and he throws the train's pilot in harm's way so that he himself gets off. And the train, all the while the train is moving, the front car is moving. So the guy and the little girl and the pretty girl get out of the train, and the asshole guy attacks him and bites the dad. So nasty fuck. So he gets rid of the asshole guy. And then eventually gets rid of himself. And the pregnant lady and the daughter get off near Busan and start walking down the train track, and you see a close-up of military pointing a gun, and they're looking for a visual confirmation that these people aren't infected. And it's in a train tunnel, so they can't see anything. And they're about to fire. And they hear the little girl singing. And that's it. They should live happily ever after.
All right. Okay, so what did you think of Train to Busan?
It was pretty good.
All right.
It was very, very intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only part that didn't make sense was why did they put the dad and the daughter on the train car in front of where the other survivors were? Like, why did they put them behind that? I don't understand.
Why did they put him in front of where the survivors were?
Yeah, like the train car. Like, remember how they broke the door?
You mean when they kicked him out? Why they had him go ahead of?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know why. I mean, I guess they didn't want to they couldn't send them behind because the zombies made it all the way up to the doors. So they couldn't send them back to where they came from because then they would have opened the doors and the zombies would have got in. But yes, to your point, I think that the smarter thing to do would be to leave them in the train, in the car where all the survivors were, and then all the survivors go into the train, into the car, the next car up.
Yeah.
That would be the safer option because we see what happens, you know. I mean, of course, it's the old lady that lets all the zombies in. So maybe they would have been okay otherwise, but yeah, I totally get your point. I was thinking about that as I was rewatching it this time around.
And it doesn't really affect that much about the movie. Like, it's so cool. I just wondered why that was like that.
Sure, yeah. Understandable. Now, Kevin, you saw this movie as well, right?
Mm-hmm. I sure did.
And if I remember, you were pretty into it, right?
I think so. At least that's the way I remember it.
I seem to remember you liking it quite a bit. I think that the presence of the addition of Dun Suk Ma in it is definitely a highlight.
Yeah.
I think
anytime
he makes it. Yeah, anytime he's in a movie, it instantly gets better. This dude is really awesome. He's in a movie that I really loved that came out last year in festivals called The Gangster, the Cop, the Devil. He was pretty awesome in that. He's going to be in the movie Eternals, the Marvel movie Eternals that's coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. He's definitely someone to keep an eye out on. And he played in this. He played the husband of the pregnant woman, and he kicks a lot of ass in this. I love that scene when It's him and then the main guy, the dad, and the baseball player kid, and they're gearing up, they're taping up their arms, and there's like a whole, like, it's probably only like 5 minutes long, but it feels longer, where they're just plowing through zombies just trying to get up, because they have to go. They know that like there's other survivors like 4 cars up, so they have to get through 4 cars of zombies to get to them, and it's just this long set piece of them going car to car, just plowing through zombies, and it's a really great scene. I also really love the scene when they have to crawl on the luggage racks, and they can't make any noise, and they all have to crawl across the luggage racks and avoid them. I think it's just a really cool premise for a zombie movie. It's not something that we've seen a lot before. I mean, this movie came out in 2016, and I feel like I remember when it came out, and I was thinking like, I'm kind of done with the zombie movies at this point. Like, I wasn't too excited about this, but when I saw it, man, I was like, wow, this is something different here. The energy in this movie is definitely up above most zombie movies, and it feels more like a disaster movie than a zombie movie.
Yeah, that's the key thing, I think. Is you have the mixing of those two genres, and then the fact that they utilize the setting so well and in creative ways, instead of just, it could easily just be boring with no creativity, just being stuck in a train.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they kind of use it, and especially like you said, where there's the set piece of going train car to train car, it's really fun. It's a fun one, and it starts, and they just got to keep defeating zombies. There's not a whole lot to it. It's entertaining.
You see a lot of zombies get punched in the face in this too. That's one thing I've noticed. Like in this movie, because in most zombie movies, you have the survivors killing the zombies, like stabbing them, shooting them, cutting their heads off, all that stuff. That doesn't really happen in this. In this movie, they're pretty much just trying to get away from them. So
you gotta just stun them.
Yeah,
stun them and get away.
So I mean, I can't even think of too many times when they actually kill any of the zombies. It's mostly them just like punching them. They hit them with bats, but you don't see the zombies getting like their heads exploded or anything.
But there is a lot of blood.
Oh yeah, it's a yeah. Don't get it twisted. It's definitely a gory movie for sure. You get to see a lot of people get a lot of throat ripping, a lot of people getting eaten, and there's definitely a lot of gore, but solid amount of zombies getting punched in the face. I don't know if I've ever seen so many zombies get punched in the face than in this movie.
No, it's usually not what filmmakers go for.
No, I mean
they usually go for the shotgun blast to the zombie face.
Yeah, the melee weapons, just any kind of weapon against this. I mean, it's probably not a good idea to be punching a zombie in the face. It's probably risky. No. It's a risky thing.
No, because I do wonder, if you get bitten, you turn, right? So would that also count if you punch him in the face and just happen to like clip a tooth?
Right. I think you would.
Does that count?
I think you would.
Think you would.
I think you would get infected. And also, I mean, punching a skull is very hard. Odds are you're punching that much, your knuckles are getting bloodied, you're cutting yourself, you got cuts all over your hands, and these zombies, they got blood all over them to begin with. So I think that there's definitely a lot of opportunities there to be getting infected.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah. Either way, I agree. It's a very exciting movie. I had a blast watching this. I actually watched this on a train. Oh, sorry, not on a train, on a plane. I watched it on a plane the first time.
Hold up.
Yeah, it was on a plane. But I did enjoy it the first go round. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more the second time, because even though I was focused on it, it was still like watching a movie on a plane. So there's like a little bit of a disconnect there. Mm-hmm. So the rewatch, I think, was a lot more enjoyable. Now, Ryan, one of the reasons that we gave you this is that there is a sequel coming out. It's called Peninsula, and it's I don't think it has a release date yet. It'll be this year. It'll be coming out this year, I would imagine. And it picks up, I think, 4 years after the events of this one. Are you into that? Do you want to see that movie when it comes out?
Yeah.
I would recommend checking out the trailer for it, because it looks like, the Raid. It looks like the Raid 2. You didn't see the Raid 2, so that comparison is going to mean nothing to you. But the Raid was, this very contained, really intense story. It all took place in that one building. And in Train to Busan, even though they do leave the train, it's pretty much contained to either the train or a train station. Whereas the new one, Peninsula, looks like it really opens things up, and it looks like it's going to be a lot bigger, a lot more open, and this story is going to be much deeper, I think, just from the trailer. It looks very intense. And I can't wait. I can't wait for Peninsula.
He's all jazzed up.
Yeah, I'm so jazzed. I mean, just because every movie, all these movies have been canceled and delayed and all this stuff. It's like, at this point, there's not too many movies that I am excited for, because I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's coming out. But I'm pretty sure Peninsula will be hitting VOD, so it's not confirmed, but I imagine it will. Well Go is putting it out, so they're usually pretty good about doing like small theatrical runs and then flipping them to VOD pretty quickly thereafter. So Sang-ho Young, I'm somewhat familiar with his movies. I've seen his last 4 movies. Psychokinesis was his latest movie that came out in 2018, so that was the one after Train to Busan. With Psychokinesis, that was about a guy who he's like a dad who finds out that he has superpowers, and he has telekinesis, so he can make things move with his mind. He can make himself fly too. And that was decent. I don't know if you remember. I talked about that on the weekly show like a long time ago, Kevin.
I think the poster looks familiar.
It's on Netflix, so if you're curious, you can check it out there. I thought it was okay. Like it didn't compare to Train to Busan, but there was some cool action scenes and stuff in that. That's a pretty big effects heavy movie too. Before Train to Busan, he did animated movies. So he did Seoul Station, which in a lot of ways, I don't think it's necessarily related to Train to Busan, but in a lot of ways it's like sort of a precursor, where it's about a zombie outbreak in Seoul. And it has definitely the same DNA, but it is an animated movie, but it was quite good. I remember enjoying that quite a bit. And before that, he did a movie called The Fake, which was also animated, which, Kevin, I think that you would probably really dig The Fake.
Okay. All right.
You probably...
Okay, yeah. I remember this movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
Right off the bat, the animation style.
Yeah, it's not your typical like anime style. It's very much has its own look to it. And he also did an animated film called The King of Pigs. The King of Pigs, which I didn't see, but heard good things about that as well. So I would recommend checking out his other stuff for sure, because it's quite good. I don't know if any of it really compares to Train to Busan, but it's still worth a look. Anything else you want to add before? Now, obviously, this is in Korean, so we were a little apprehensive about giving you this because we know you don't like the subtitles. It's difficult for you to keep up with the rapid subtitles, which is totally understandable. But we thought that maybe this one was action focused enough that it wouldn't bother you too much, Ryan. Is that the case, or were you bothered by the subtitles?
At first I was, but when you figure out that you don't have to pay attention and do every single thing, because like I don't want to miss anything. Like I don't want to miss when some character says something that is detrimental to the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't want to miss it.
yeah. Fortunately, with this story, there's not a lot of opportunity for that to happen. There's like one kind of twist, sort of, that happens at the end when you. I won't give it away because it's not necessary. But there's one sort of thing that happens at the end that I think is kind of important, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much to the narrative. So even if you
No, and as you watch it and begin to understand that it leaves me, it made me feel more comfortable.
yeah, I mean, even if
So after a minute, I didn't mind the subtitles.
yeah, even if you're not reading all of the subtitles and necessarily paying attention to every bit of dialogue, I think it's pretty clear that the main character, the dad, is like this sort of workaholic who's neglecting his daughter, and throughout the course of the movie, this horrific event changes him and makes him a better person, and he forms a stronger bond with his daughter as a result, and all of this stuff. So I think that all comes through in the action as well as the dialogue. So
Plus, when he sees zombies getting punched in the face, it doesn't matter anymore.
yeah, when you see the zombie face punching. All right, let's go ahead and give you a drum roll, Ryan. What do you give Train to Busan?
9.
9 out of 10. Nice.
Whoa.
Nice. Very nice.
Whoa.
Very nice. That is
My goodness.
dude, when I was rewatching this, Kevin, I was like, oh man, I don't know. Like, I don't, because there wasn't. There's a lot of action in it. Like, it's almost nonstop. But I was thinking, like, there's a few pauses in there. There's a few breaks in there when there's a little bit more dialogue, and I was worried about that. I was worried that that was gonna bother him. And there's like obviously some likable characters who get killed. I was concerned that was maybe gonna bring the score down a little bit. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, Ryan.
The husband of the pregnant lady and the little girl and the pregnant lady herself, they did it for me. I mean, the dad learned his lesson towards the end of the movie, but throughout the movie, and the baseball kid is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, him and his girlfriend cry a lot.
Yeah. Well, they're kids, and they just witnessed all of their classmates and friends be horribly murdered. So it's understandable. I think that they get a pass with the crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they get a little bit of a pass. What did you think of the effects work? I wanted to ask you about that because you'd mentioned the effects. And I think you said that they were okay.
Actually pretty. It was better than most American movies I see.
Yeah, so I agree. I think the effects work is really good. I think that it holds up for now. I think maybe 5 years from now, when we go back and watch this, we're gonna think that the effects work looks a little dated. But like the scene when they're at the train station and the train that's on fire comes barreling down the track, that was a really crazy scene. And there's a scene when in the aftermath of that, one of the trains flips and there's one car on the train that is packed to the brim with zombies, and it's like flipped horizontally, so the windows of the train are face down. And at one point there's so many zombies that the windows just start breaking, and it's like water. It's like zombies just flowing out of this train, and I think that's a really cool looking scene too. The zombies are not only really fast in this, but they're sort of the World War Z style zombies, where it's like they like flow. They're like, it's like a tidal wave of zombies. And like the one scene when they're on the single car train, and there's so many zombies piling on to the back of the train that it starts to actually slow the train down, and they're all just crawling on top of each other.
What's
really
the
cool
game on Xbox that we used to play? The zombie game?
Dead Rising?
No.
Xbox?
Dying Light.
I didn't play that with you, but yeah, that is a zombie game on Xbox.
There's one that an RPG that we played. They have like 4 different kinds of zombies.
There's Left 4 Dead, there's Dead Island. Dying Light is a zombie game.
My made Dead Island.
There's
every month of zombies, and this reminds me of that. Like,
they did release a World War Z game like last year, which I didn't play, but it's supposed to be like Left 4 Dead basically. And then there was a game that came out called Days Gone, I think, for PlayStation that has the same style of zombies where there's just like thousands of them and it's like a wave of them. I didn't play that either, actually, because I heard it was average. But
there's so many of them, so quick moving.
Mm-hmm.
And they turn so quickly.
Yeah, they do turn very quickly.
Like I said, they kill you and like literally 3 seconds later you're a zombie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, really quick infection rate. All right, what are you in the mood for next time?
It doesn't matter.
Not a lot of enthusiasm this week.
Yeah.
Whatever. I want to say comedy, but action movie just didn't do what I wanted to do for me, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. What about an action comedy?
Oh shit.
I might have just like backed us into a corner with that, Kevin. I don't know how many action movies he hasn't seen that are good, but
true. Let alone action comedies. I mean, action movies alone are kind of tough for us to begin with.
They're tough, yeah.
Because we mostly seem to just pick foreign films and just cross our fingers.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah, that happened. Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. I think the best action movies are either 80s American action movies or modern Asian action movies. Like, there's not a whole lot. I mean, like the John Wick movies maybe, but there's just, for Ryan specifically, there's not a ton of English language action movies that he hasn't seen, but I'm sure there's more out there. So, okay. So we'll give you, so you want to try action comedy?
Yeah, sure.
We'll try to find you one. And if we can't, we'll try to find something that's like close to that.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we close it out this week?
No.
If you want to see Train to Busan, it is on Shudder. So if you have the streaming service Shudder, you can check it out on there. I would highly recommend checking out Shudder just in general because it's a pretty awesome service.
Do it.
Yeah. I think that's going to do it. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your picks for Ryan and questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet, @filmpulsekevin, and @mylegsdon'twork. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw and Ryan Holes, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.
See you later.